In the shadow of ancient cities where sign whispered through the streets like smoke from Biden's fires, one man's desperate flight from destruction would test the unbreakable bond of faith and reveal the shattering cost of a single backward glance. Long ago, in the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley, there lived a man named Lot. He was the nephew of the great patriarch Abraham, a wanderer who had followed his uncle from the distant lands of Ur and Haran, seeking the promises of a divine calling. Lot had chosen to settle in the lush region near the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, drawn by the abundance of green pastures and the prosperity that seemed to flow like the river itself. But beneath the surface of this apparent paradise lurked a darkness that poisoned the souls of its inhabitants. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah had turned away from righteousness, indulging in every vice imaginable: pride, excess, violence, and immorality that cried out to the heavens for justice. Lot, however, clung to his faith amidst this moral decay. He was a righteous man, tormented daily by the wickedness around him, yet he remained steadfast in his belief in the one true God who had guided his uncle Abraham. His family consisted of his wife, whose name has been lost to the annals of time, and their 2 daughters, young women on the cusp of adulthood. They lived in a modest home within the walls of Sodom, where Lot served as a gatekeeper, a position that allowed him to observe the comings and goings of travelers and merchants. It was a life of quiet endurance, where faith was not just a belief but a shield against the encroaching shadows. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city gates, 2 strangers approached. They appeared as ordinary men, but there was an otherworldly aura about them. Their garments gleamed with an unnatural cleanliness, and their eyes held the wisdom of ages. Lot, ever hospitable and guided by the customs of his heritage, rose to greet them. "My lords," he said, bowing low, "please turn aside to your servant's house. Wash your feet, rest, and refresh yourselves before continuing your journey." The strangers accepted his invitation, unaware to Lot at first that they were angels sent by God himself. As night fell, word spread through the city of these visitors, and soon a mob gathered outside Lot's door. The men of Sodom, young and old alike, pounded on the entrance, demanding that the strangers be brought out to them for their wicked intentions. Lot stepped outside, barring the door behind him, his heart pounding with fear, but his faith unwavering. "No, my friends," he pleaded, "do not do this wicked thing. I have 2 daughters who have never known a man. Let me bring them out to you instead." But the crowd surged forward, blinded by their lust and rage, pressing against Lot and threatening to break down the door. In that moment of peril, the angels revealed their true nature. They reached out, pulling Lot back inside and striking the mob with blindness, causing them to grope aimlessly in the dark. The household was saved, but the angels' mission was far from over. They turned to Lot with grave expressions. "Have you anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of this place, for we are going to destroy it." The outcry against its people has become so great before the Lord that he has sent us to destroy it. Lot's faith was now put to the ultimate test. He hurried out into the night, seeking his daughters' fiancés, urging them to flee with him. "Quick," he said, "the Lord is about to destroy the city." But they laughed in his face, thinking him a fool or a madman. Dawn was breaking as Lot returned home, his pleas unheeded. The angels urged haste. "Hurry! Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." Lot hesitated, his heart torn by the life he had built. But the angels seized his hand, and those of his wife and daughters, leading them out of the city. "Flee for your lives," they commanded. "Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away." As they fled, the sun rose over the horizon, and behind them the sky darkened with divine wrath. The Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah out of the heavens, consuming everything in fire and smoke. The once fertile plain became a wasteland, the cities reduced to ashes, their inhabitants perishing in the blaze. Lot and his family pressed on toward the small town of Zoar. As Lot had begged to go there instead of the mountains, fearing he could not survive the rugged terrain. But in that moment of escape, Lot's wife faltered. The sounds of destruction echoed behind them, the screams, the roar of flames, the crumbling of stone. Overwhelmed by curiosity, attachment, or perhaps a lack of faith in the angel's warning, she turned and looked back. In an instant, she was transformed into a pillar of salt, a stark monument to the consequences of disobedience and wavering belief. Lot and his daughters continued on, reaching Zoar as the destruction subsided, their family forever altered. In the aftermath, Lot's faith sustained him through grief and uncertainty. He and his daughters eventually left Zoar, dwelling in a cave in the mountains. There, in a misguided attempt to preserve their lineage, the daughters conspired to bear children by their father, leading to the birth of Moab and Ben-Ami, ancestors of the Moabites and Ammonites. Yet, through it all, Lot's story stands as a testament to faith's power, the faith that obeys without question, that flees from sin, and that trusts in divine deliverance even when the world crumbles. This ancient tale weaves faith as its central thread, illustrating how unwavering trust in God's commands can lead to salvation, while doubt or attachment to the past invites ruin. Lot's obedience, despite his hesitations, marked him as righteous, echoing Abraham's own faith that was credited as righteousness. His wife's tragic end serves as a cautionary emblem. Faith requires forward momentum, not lingering glances at what must be left behind. In times of moral decay, much like Sodom's, faith calls believers to separate from corruption, to heed divine warnings, and to embrace the unknown path ahead. The narrative divides naturally into 3 acts of faith's trial. First, the setup in Sodom highlights Lot's daily faithfulness amid wickedness, culminating in the angel's arrival and the mob's assault, testing his hospitality and resolve. Second, the escape underscores the urgency of obedience, with Lot's pleas to his extended family falling on deaf ears and the family's hurried flight under angelic guidance. Third, the destruction and aftermath reveal the fruits of faith and the perils of doubt, from the fiery judgment to the pillar of salt and the cave's new beginnings, all relating back to how faith sustains through loss and leads to legacy. Yet, to delve deeper, consider how faith in this story mirrors broader spiritual journeys. Lot's choice to settle near Sodom initially stemmed from worldly allure, a subtle erosion of faith that nearly cost him everything. His redemption came through active obedience, a reminder that faith is not passive, but demands action, leaving comfort zones, confronting evil, and trusting providence. The angel's intervention symbolizes divine grace, stepping in when human strength falters, much like faith's role in bridging human weakness to godly power. Lot's wife, often unnamed and thus universalized, embodies the human struggle with letting go. Her backward glance wasn't mere curiosity. It represented a heart divided, clinging to the familiar, sins of the past rather than fully committing to the faith-required future. This relates to faith as complete surrender, where partial obedience is no obedience at all. In religious traditions, this moment is invoked to warn against nostalgia for sinful ways, urging believers to press on toward the goal without turning back. The daughter's later actions, while controversial, highlight faith's complexity and desperation. Lacking suitors and fearing extinction, they acted on a distorted sense of duty to preserve family line, yet this led to nations that would interact with Israel in mixed ways. It shows faith's generational impact. Lot's righteousness influenced his descendants, even through flawed decisions, pointing to redemption's long arc. In today's world, Sodom could symbolize societies steeped in materialism and moral relativism, where faith feels like an outlier. Lot's torment resonates with believers navigating secular environments, maintaining integrity amid pressure. Ultimately, the pillar of salt stands eternal, symbolizing the petrifying effect of unfaithfulness. Faith, then, is dynamic, forward-looking, transformative, turning wanderers into survivors, sinners into saints. Like and comment your thoughts on this video and subscribe to this channel to grow your faith and remain unshakable in God. God bless you.